Hello and welcome to another episode of the Better Streets for Birmingham podcast. Today I'm talking with Farina Chaudri of the Friends of Reading Lane Park group. I wonder if you could take us back to 2021, to what happened in Reading's Lane, what made you personally decide that you couldn't move on from that and you wanted to campaign?
Right, so in 2021, I at the time was working from home, and pretty much I can still remember the day where we heard, the air ambulance come and park up at the park, and it was a lot of chaos basically outside. Essentially, what happened was a young child of 3, her name was Maysoon Abdul Hakim, was crossing the zebra crossing with a little bike with her mom. And unfortunately, she got hit by an individual, a young driver. And unfortunately, she passed away with her injuries. We have had a lot since 2021. We've had petitions by local residents. We have a local resident who's also an activist, Amjad, and we've had lots of, GoFundMe pages that were opened. It has affected the community since quite drastically, actually. So since then, up till now, we've been campaigning, whether it's joining Better Streets for Birmingham, having now so far about 2 years of meetings with the councillors as well. And we've had lots of residents involved as well here and there, because we've had quite a few accidents since. Shaftmore Lane is such an example, and the most recent being Foxhollies Road in Hall Green as well.
Yeah. I mean, what's the mood in the community? I mean, how much is this kind of bringing the community together? And I guess as well, what you've been trying to achieve within the community?
Yeah, there's a bit of a mixture in the community, because obviously we've got. It's obvious to me, of course, not necessarily to everyone else, but there are 3 schools, particularly on this particular stretch of roads that connects Warwick Road all the way to Stratford Road. So it's a bit of a connecting road to several areas. And the mood around the community really is that we don't want our children to walk to school, in essence, when actually the plan within Birmingham is to make it more active, to make us more active, to ideally slowly move away from cars where you can, of course. Encourage bike riding. The parents that have been part of the protests we've had as well, I think it was in 2024, we've had lots of stories from them around not wanting the kids to be walking on the streets as well. So it's been quite discouraging, rather than, hopefully trying to encourage people to become a bit more, active and get off their cars. But yeah, I think it's knocked people in terms of confidence. And obviously we know in Birmingham, just generally, or rather England, they're particularly, I would say, Birmingham, because when you're driving into Birmingham as well, if you're coming off the motorway, that you've hit Birmingham, because the driving is absolutely shocking.
Number of people killed on the roads in the city. We see, on average, a little over 20 people killed a year in the city. It's increasingly happening to pedestrians, increasingly happening on pedestrian crossings. It's a shift of, even if the cars are getting safer, the people outside of them certainly aren't. When did Better Streets first kind of come into your orbit? When did they start getting involved in your community?
That's a good question. It was quite organic. So there were quite a few, lots of accidents, as we all know, and lots of tragedies. And I started going to a few demos myself. And so I started connecting up with Better Streets for Birmingham from that point onwards. And obviously, I do say obviously it's not that obvious, but I did, start to join up with a lot of protests as well. It kind of literally rolled over from that point onwards, and a number of local residents started getting involved as well. And then as part of the Friends of Reading Lane Park, we started stretching out, essentially what we were trying to do in the local area. So rather than just the park, we've grown a little bit since then. And then we've also been obviously interviewed by Sarah as well, who's put out a very fantastic documentary in Birmingham that a number of us visited and watched last year in 2025.
So you had several members of Better Streets Birmingham as well. They were always there at your campaigns with you, and they were coming along with to meet councillors with you and kind of trying to help you push forward. I mean, how much of a meaningful impact is that to have people who will do more than just kind of tweeting? I guess more kind of showing up.
Yeah, it's a good point you made. Sometimes you forget what you do on a daily basis. So it's been almost 18 months of having regular meetings with 3 schools here, together with Better Streets for Birmingham. And on every meeting, we've had a representative from Better Streets for Birmingham. It's been absolutely fantastic having, you all on the either the meetings face to face when we first started. I think it's the subject matter expertise of what's actually going on wider, and also understanding the plans that Birmingham is putting in place, what's coming through the cabinet member, etc. And some in RC local residents here don't necessarily get involved at that level. Not all of us get involved in that level. So bringing that subject matter expertise into those meetings and joining up the dots has really, really helped and continues to help, of course. It also helps to put a little more pressure around what funding is available and what we can do with that funding, of which, again, not necessarily residents also are aware of the funding that they can activate and pressure their councillors to do something about it. One was the ETNF funding that came through in, I think it was 2024 as well, that has been now used by default for speed humps on Foreman's Road that were put in place this week, actually, coincidentally.
Okay. Yeah, so I know you had, I'm going to say Better Streets generally, but we've mentioned Sarah, Kirsten DeVos, and of course Matt McDonald, who then went on to become I think the first Road Safety Commissioner in the UK,
Indeed.
but the West Midlands Road Safety Commissioner. I mean, it's part of something bigger then, isn't it? And yeah.
No, indeed. Yeah, indeed. I mean, we've since been to All Green protests as well. I personally would love to be part of the regular meetings as well. Unfortunately for me, it's a time constraint issue. But I think having such a group of individuals that can come together and affect change is certainly stronger than just a couple of people here and there in certain areas. I myself noticed that and realized that much earlier on, that we had pockets of individuals on this street that may have about 200 plus, have homes on this street, just alone on this street. And just joining up is I think creates that momentum that you need to make change and affect change.
So you said we're looking at the ETNF funding is going to be providing speed bumps on Foreman's Road. I mean, is this what you campaigned for? Is this what you were consulted on as a community?
Right. So no, this is not something actually we campaign for. Weirdly enough, so about a year ago we started to get an understanding that these funds were available. Certainly also through Better Streets for Birmingham as to how these were used in different wards and different manners. There was a lot of hesitancy from our councillors to use this money for the Readings Lane in particular, and the surrounding roads. Obviously, Foreman's Road is one of them. I think by default, it's been used for Foreman's Road, and simply because there were certain timeframes in which that money had to be used. And the changes we wanted to make were not necessarily speed bumps, but literally infrastructure changes. So, either creating a one-way system or modal filters being introduced on these roads, something a little bit more permanent and significant than just speed bumps, because people really now drive over them. And we do find that they're not as effective as they could have been, in the past, where majority of us may not have had massive 4x4 cars, basically. I'm not saying a lot of us have that, but it's not as effective, in my view.
Yeah, so I think it's been talked about several times there. As you say, it's larger cars are able to just, go over these things without even noticing them. It does cause cars to swerve over to sides of the road, which can make it dangerous for other road users. But they are a preferred method for the highways engineers because they're the lowest impact. And I just want to say this is you've campaigned for particular measures, and then they've said, no, we're going to do these other measures to you. I mean, is that not a frustrating experience within the community?
Yeah, I think it is. I think it is quite frustrating because a lot of the time, I'll say inverted commas, consultations are not really genuine consultations. They don't involve residents, and basically residents are basically told this is what we're going to do to you rather than with you. So there isn't really much in regards to taking in consideration residents' voices more than anything else. We heavily got involved into a school audit, actually, in August last year, which was also, unfortunately, it was badly planned because, as you can imagine, August is when schools are closed, and we were trying to fit in a school audit bang in the centre of summer holidays in a very tight time frame. So the planning wasn't particularly well done, but we did heavily, get involved in the school audit to get views from residents as well about this whole area, which covers 3 areas actually. It's Tyseley, Spark Hill, and Hall Green. And I can still remember somebody saying, "I'll tell you one thing: the authorities won't do anything. Just leave this street and move on." And there was absolutely no confidence that the authorities could make a change because they're not really listening.
Because where you are, you're like a convergence of, I think, about 3 wards, isn't it? That's what, 6+ councillors? The representation there is huge for your area. They should be able to work together and do something. They should be able to, well engage with you as a community. I mean, is that the feeling that has happened?
I think, generally speaking, I would say no, except perhaps one councillor who has driven the meetings initially. It has been 2 years of discussion, and it's just unfortunate that they have petered off, and nothing has come about from it except these speed bumps. So I think, first of all, engaging about even a bare minimum of 3 councillors from these 3 wards is absolutely challenging for residents, that's probably one aspect of it. And I guess the second aspect is they're all fighting for their own wards in terms of funding or, particular, ways to use that particular funding. In this case, I'm just, having a chat about ETNF funding. But there is a lot of more funding available in wards, but obviously they're protected over that as well. But yeah, in essence, I just think the default message is always, well, there's been austerity, we don't have the money, we can't really do much with it, and then suddenly something else pops up in a well-to-do area, and we're left back, in the centre of absolute chaos on roads, and we all know this is not just about speeding, and it's more also about pavement parking and obstructive parking, and there's much more that we can talk about.
Okay, so you're still waiting for the audit from the schools audit, and we've had, as you say, the councillors in the area all kind of pulling in different directions and not working together to get things done. I mean, what's the impact this almost inaction is happening on the community? I mean, are they still coming out and on the streets and campaigning?
Yeah, I think there are 2 aspects to it. One is, how do you keep a number of residents, or the community in this case, motivated? throughout, these meetings or, the activism that takes place. And it's very difficult to do that. It has petered off, unfortunately, because one, it's trust. We always talk about let's trust the process, but actually, 2 years down the line, nothing really has taken place, except from having a traffic. I think that they used to be called lollipop ladies, but I know there's a particular word around, getting the traffic officers on the zebra crossing. That's the only change that has taken place. I think, apart from just keeping the community engaged more than anything else, it's really about also trusting whether there's going to be really an outcome. And at this point in time, a lot of people don't trust that there is going to be any outcome. And as we approach the local elections, as you can imagine, this is now being used as a mechanism of, well, we've done. I'm sure at some point there'll be some sort of conversation about, well, we've got speed bumps in Foreman's Road. Look at what we've done for road safety, when actually that's sort of a very, very small little drop in the ocean, if at all.
Or getting quickly, rushed out and built just before the election happens.
Indeed, yeah. But just generally, that's what it is. It's keeping a community engaged and, trusting that there will be a change.
I mean, you have been very much part of a larger movement within the city. So the city did, on the back of much of the campaigning that you, as well as other groups around the city, where, a lot of the campaigning that you were doing, did get us the road safety emergency declared by the city council. And, the work you were doing with Matt McDonald got him, I'm sure, his role as the road safety commissioner. I mean, does this stuff mean anything on the ground, I guess?
Yes. I think when you put it like that, it does, because now and then you become much of a cynic when it comes to these things. However, when you think about it broadly speaking, I think those particular, changes that have taken place, there are small changes. And you try to remain as positive as you can. But I just think for the size of the city, the change is too slow, perhaps. For example, we have 30 miles per hour zones here opposite 3 very crucial junction with 3 schools, for example. And we've obviously made those changes, just generally speaking, in Birmingham in certain locations. Has this 30 mile per hour zone had any impact to accidents locally? Absolutely none. There has been no enforcement, very little enforcement, if at all, any. So yes, it does sort of leave a bit of a, I guess, that there's a space for much more improvement, but actually not enough is being done with that. And I'm very happy, that Matt's had the post, because he's very, very, I would say, informed, and he knows all, what's happening locally as well and how communities feel. And we worked a lot with him as well. So yes, there are small little changes happening, but yeah, perhaps it's about, the speed at which we expect it to happen and how it impacts us locally.
Yeah, of course. And, one role is not a wholesale change in direction of
yeah, and I believe it's a part volunteering role as well, if I'm not mistaken. So it's just paid a day a week or something. I just think if it's that important. Indeed, yeah. If it's that important of a, I would say an agenda for the local authorities, then I think they should be pumping in a little bit more resource into this. But I'm not entirely convinced. I think generally speaking, I think it's a bit slow in terms of the impact that we perhaps need. locally.
Yeah, and there's a requirement for bold leadership. The council's own road harm reduction strategy recognised that the kind of small changes, just a junction here, which is what they've been doing since 2016, has had no effect in reducing the amount of casualties we see on our roads. And the only things that will have an effect are larger scale schemes. Which I know is some of the things that you've been campaigning for. Where does the campaign go from here?
It's a good question. So I have been chasing our local councillors on the outcome of the school audit. However, to be honest, that's not how we actually started off the meetings. So the meetings were more around the community and road safety, because there are a number of accidents that do take place but don't get recorded as well. It morphed essentially into school safety, and reducing road harm, road safety harm. So I think that's one of the expectations. I don't think, I have been thinking about this lately, I don't think that's enough. I think we need to start thinking a little bit outside the box yet again. I think there is a local community movement around getting cameras everywhere. We've engaged with schools. We are at the stage now we can't engage any further because they haven't seen anything come out of the 18 months of meeting with them. Trying to re-engage with them, perhaps depending on who the councillors may be in post-May. We may have to reinvest some further energy into that. And continually work with Better Streets for Birmingham as well. But yeah, we're still chasing on an outcome from the school audit. In the meantime, and we have been also asking for lots of enforcement as well in the meantime, which hasn't really had any impact yet.
Yeah. So the elections will, may well bring in a new group of people who are keen to make a change. So.
I hope so. We do know that there is a little bit more, money in the system. It's not always money as well. It's really about, the community coming together to actually pressure your local councillor. So, I would ask if any of the community is watching this, please do take part in affecting change. And try to stay as resilient as we can, because changes can never take place in a short period of time.
Yeah, I think it's so important for people within their communities to say these are the changes that we need, rather than, waiting for the council or the regional authority or something to say this is what we think should happen in your community. It's your community, isn't it?
Indeed. Yeah.
Okay, well, Farina, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate you talking us through what's happening over in Readings Lane, and I wish you and all of us the best come the new administration.
Oh, thanks, Kevin. We'll continue working with you all for the next couple of years, I hope.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, thanks a lot.
All right, thanks.